All right, 7:01, call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Selectman Baker, would you like to lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Selectman D'Souza will not be here tonight. She has a family commitment, pulled her out of state. We have 3 sets of minutes to approve. First one is September 1st. Any corrections?
Yes, on the front page, and then it also continues to page 3 and 4. The name Ken Martin is actually James Barton.
No.
So where it's on the bottom of page 3, Ken Martin, 115 South Water Street, that's James Barton. So then all the Mr. Martins need to be corrected to Mr. Barton.
Good catch. Other corrections?
Move to approve the September 1st, 2022 regular meeting minutes as amended.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amended minutes are adopted. September 15th. Any corrections?
Move to approve the September 15th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed?
This is being corrected.
He's lagging in person now.
I got yelled at for being on Zoom at Wetlands meeting last night.
Really?
You didn't want to cut your hair.
No, it's Pippin was.
Oh.
Yo, lag.
She should be in rooftop. She's like in an echo chamber all the time. Special meeting minutes from September 26th. I think I had the motions correctly, but I lost my notes, so I made them up.
You didn't have them. Right.
Sounds right.
I move to approve the September 26th, 2022 special meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public participation. This is one of 2 opportunities for members of the public to address the Board of Selectmen. I will first turn to anybody who's here present in the room and then ask any person who happens to be online. Is there anybody here who would like to address the Board of Selectmen?
I'm only here to support you, Jim.
Thank you, Mrs. Sherry. Smart man, Mr. Sherry. That is how you do it. Okay, we'll give you guys another opportunity later on. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you can change your mind.
You might change your mind. That's right. Okay, so under communications, so as you guys all saw when we went on our walk along the railroad line last week, I think. I had done that prior with the town manager of Enfield and separately with Senator Anwar and Representative Foster. And there are significant hazards along the way, such that I felt obligated to make DOT aware of it as well as the town's insurance carrier. So included is a copy of the letter I sent to Commissioner Giulietti, GIS map demarcating where the trestle bridge is, but also where oh, I'm sorry, that's not the trestle bridge, that's where the sinkhole is. And then photos of the sinkhole. The photos from my phone don't really do it justice. Eyeballing it, that hole is 15 feet wide, just as many feet deep. I mean, somebody's gonna get killed riding a dirt bike along those railroad lines. It is treacherous. When I went out there with Senator Anwar and Representative Foster, I actually replaced a hazard cone, put it right in the middle of the train track line so that anybody coming and going could see, like, there's at least a cone ahead. When we went on our walk with the Enfield Town Council, that cone had been moved, actually disappeared. It wasn't anywhere to be seen, which means at least someone else was aware of it, which is not better, but it's just a safety concern. So that was a communication that went off to a state agency, so I included it.
Have you received a reply of any kind?
Not even an acknowledgement. Actually, that's not true. Kermit acknowledged, our insurance provider acknowledged it, but nothing from the state. Okay, resignations and appointments. We do have one. Laverne Calcetta has decided to step down from her appointed position as the resident representative of the East Windsor Housing Authority. Her resignation is in your packet, so we need to accept that. And there is a successor in interest who is going to be on our next agenda. So they have kept, stay on the railroad team. They've kept the train running. So we'll have that before us next time.
Move to accept the resignation of Laverne Calcetta as the resident commissioner of the East Windsor Housing Authority with regret.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, we're at the time of the year where we need to establish our meeting dates for 2023. These dates correspond with the first and third Thursday of every month, as has been our practice since I think before this board was sat. We have the latitude now, we can change our regular meetings to any particular day, although I think keeping them on Thursdays makes a ton of sense. Because if we need staff present, it's less of an imposition on them, it's less of an encouragement of comp time or overtime, so I would like to just keep it on Thursday nights. May I have a motion to either accept those meeting dates or offer an alternative?
Make a motion to accept the 2023 meeting dates.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm just doing it on purpose. Ms. Calabrese, you're up. So Ruth has put together a proposal for our consideration over, well, I'm gonna let her explain. So, Ruth, the floor is yours.
So when 2 years ago, when I first got here, the town had just gone live with Permit Link. And the building department is fully online with their permits. The planning and development department has really just the administrative zoning permits online, and all the land use boards are still on paper. In fact, humanly, I'll say. So we approached the folks at Permit Link about developing a module, something they want to do for their product line. And one that could be used for the different types of land use permits. And so it's a workflow, and it would track. Not in your packet, but this is just our outline to the Permit Link on the workflows that we'd like to have tracked. I have one extra. So what they'll be doing is developing a module that will be interactive with the sites we already have, but also standalone. So it will track an application from receipt and all the regulatory requirements for when things have to happen. As far as publishing in the paper or closing a public hearing, just keeping us in line with all those requirements. We'll be able to have automated letters go out with regard to expiration. We can track the conditions of approval as passed and then mark them off when completed. And so what I handed out to you were the different types of permits that we intend to put the workflows in place for. We'll be working with the developers to put this module together the way we would like it to operate. And we're getting it at a very reduced rate, a $7,000 development fee, and then a support fee on top of that, like an annual support fee that's cut in half. Their intention is to market the product out at their ballpark is a 25 grand number, and with a twice the annual support rate that they're proposing in this proposal for us. To get it built is $9,500 all in, and then the years after, it's a 3-year contract, so years 2 and 3, it's the 2,500.
And when does the contract run? Is it July 1 or is it from signature?
So if we open it, we won't see that annual fee until the product is finished.
So it's the 7,000. And then once it's up and running, then we sign on for a year. So it depends on when it's,
Okay,
So the verbiage in this is not really correct then, because it says
we tried. to
1 year
fix it.
increments commencing each July 1st and end July 30th of the subsequent year for this is
So-
under term and termination.
or upon
And-
conditions set forth in the agreement.
Okay.
I think he would, reduce the rate. If it took them, if there's only 4 months left of the year, I wouldn't be looking to pay a full year's fee after the development of the module.
How long is it gonna take to build?
I'm not, I couldn't tell you right offhand, it's a priority product that they want to get into. We've given them the outline, so they can get their developers, working on the code for that. And then it's gonna be us tweaking it as we go, as we're using it and figuring out what we want to look at.
Is this gonna hold like all the corrective order stuff too?
Yep, absolutely can do that. Yep. And so, the biggest plus for it is the tracking, like, if you have a bond, you need to submit, so if there's an approval with a slew of conditions of approval, including performance bonds and BNS bonds and whatnot, those will all be tracked in the system.
And so they'll trigger a
They'll
reminder.
trigger, and they'll actually generate the letters that we'll send out.
I see here that part of the annual cost is cloud hosting, and so, I assume that, this is gonna take more tables in the database to accommodate this data. Is that gonna be housed in the same place as the rest of our data, like all the planning and zoning data, or will it be a separate database?
Our planning and zoning for the.
I mean, the permitting, the building department. So they have already their setup and they have a database. This, I'm hoping is
I
gonna
know
get
that
plugged
they-
into that data.
They do that. I don't know enough about the IT background to know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways they could do it. I didn't wanna, I guess I didn't wanna have, or,
A different repository.
yeah, two different charges for data, like that we could put on one area, or if it was going in the other, in one area, which I think would make a lot more sense technically. Then I'd wanna make sure that we have the space wherever we are, wherever that's, so I'm assuming we host on their cloud, it's a private cloud.
Yep.
Okay, and then, so we pay, there's a lot of different ways to pay for that too. We could pay by hitting a threshold and going up higher, so we might, that's a
Right, right
cost.
now, permit link is really the fee, the $10 fee. For each permit, there's a user fee. And that,
Oh, for each user license.
for each permit submitted.
Oh,
the
okay, you pay by the
applicant is
turn.
charged- Yeah,
Okay,
that's how they get paid on that.
okay.
This one is the $2,500 a year for support.
Okay, interesting. So do we pay a support thing for tech support for permanently?
No.
It's user.
Just that?
user funded.
Okay, so, well, I guess I'm still curious as how they're gonna do the databases, if it's a separate database or if it's gonna get plugged into the other one. I assume it just makes more sense. If they're gonna use this with other customers, it would be a package.
Right,
So you
Yeah.
raised a good question. I had that thought of. When we were doing the conversion over to Permit Link, the previous customer or the previous provider held our data hostage and actually tried to extort an additional annual payment out of us to get it back, where they actually get legal involved. Did you run this past, Pullman?
I have not run that.
Okay, I think I want to do that because that was a learning moment, I'll say, in terms of who has ownership over the data, particularly relevant to where is it housed.
Yeah, and that is new with cloud hosting. Used to be, it's on your computer, you could boot them out, but now it's on somewhere. They
Yeah.
can boot you out. Yeah, and say, yeah, if you want a conversion to so-and-so, you're paying.
I think we're gonna sit on that for probably 2 weeks just to get Josh's opinion on that.
Okay, yeah.
Or amendment, as the case may be. Only because we did get burned with the last company for this service. So I just want to make sure we're not.
And you can ask them for the policy, if we don't have it, what the data policy is. for all this, so we
Yeah.
can present that to Pullman and see if we like it.
Okay. Yeah, promising story, right?
And my recollection from our conversations about this ahead of time is that you have the budgetary capacity now to cover the $7,000.
Yes, we
Okay.
just need to transfer from
Right.
one account to another.
And the annual cost or the prorated annual cost is case may be just to get to the next budget. Okay. And then we would just put it in your IT submission that goes into the IT department budget.
Is the timeline okay to do, to wait 2 weeks to get that info?
Oh, yeah,
we good?
I can imagine.
Yeah.
We're helping them out as much as they're helping us.
Exactly.
Just
I
let,
was just concerned with like what your timeline was there.
just let Scott know that our intention is to further consider the application. We just need a clarification
Yeah.
on the contract itself.
Other than that, I think it's all great.
I do want to say, I give Ruth a lot of credit for moving forward with this. The big draw of this for me is that it will help us better track our bonding process, which
That's
As you
that
all know.
itself, yeah.
has been a time bomb for 20 years or more. And to have a real resolution to that prospectively, nothing we really can do about retrospectively, but prospectively is good work. So I appreciate it. So could I have a motion to postpone that pending legal?
Make a motion to postpone the signing of the contract for the new permit link module until pending legal.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Thank you, folks. Thank you, Ms. Calabrese.
You're welcome. Good evening. You too.
Speaking of legal. for our next more. Okay, so, Patty has to do, from time to time, Patty has to do an engagement letter with Adam Cohen at Pullman and Conley for the collection of delinquent taxes. The previous engagement letter has run its course, and so they've presented a new one. One of the things that is different in here is the fee schedule. So recovery of attorney's fees and expenses on page 2 is different. I would stress that this is not, these are not costs that are borne by the town or the town's legal budget. They're borne by the delinquent taxpayers at the point of claim. This has been kind of a separate and standalone engagement that we've had with Pullman and Conley since Patty Cradaville got here. Adam does a great job. Usually what happens is when we have the delinquency list that has to get to the collection point, they're warned, and then there is a remedy period, and 95% of the time or thereabouts, the list is cleared up. So the list that she has currently pending is something like 25 delinquencies. By the time this gets to a tax sale sometime in January, that'll be down to 3. And that's just how the process works, that she incorporates, largely using Attorney Cohen to encourage compliance. So it is a contract, an engagement letter is a contract, just like I bring all contracts to you guys. I wanted to just bring this in front of you, ask if you have any questions, or ask for a motion to authorize the signature. Anybody?
make a motion to authorize the first selectman to sign the contract between the town of East Windsor and attorney Adam Cohen of Pullman and Conley for the purpose of delinquent tax recovery.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I know you're doing it.
It's a lag. I can't hear it. It's here. It comes back around.
Okay, 90, discuss and approve the fiscal year 2023 dial-a-ride operating assistance grant. This is an annual contract the town enters into. What this provides for us twofold is it provides us the match and the opportunity to apply for it's usually an 80-20 reimbursement for the acquisition of senior center bus. Although I understand their supply chain issues are actually going to put that program in suspense for the year. But the other thing that it does is it helps us fund our senior transportation program. This is an agreement that is very well utilized, and it's very critical to our senior population. This is an annual renewal. As you can see, it actually takes effect July 1st, but it was sent to my office on September 27th, received at the beginning of the week. So this is keeping the trains running down the track. Any questions or comments? Again, I would need authorization to sign.
Move to approve the fiscal year 2023 Dial-A-Ride Operating Assistance Grant Contract and authorize the signature of the first selectman.
Second,
Made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Opposed? Okay, I'll take care of that. Tax refunds.
Move to approve the tax refunds totaling $1,683.65.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye. Aye. Sorry.
Yeah, right. All opposed, so ordered. All right, selectmen's reports. So we have a few exciting construction projects underway at the moment. First, the town has issued an RFQ for qualified vendors for the installation of lights at the Abbey Road soccer field and a playground expansion in town. Thank you to Senator Onwar, Representative Foster, and Representative Hall for their efforts to secure state funds for those projects. We also have issued an RFQ for a project manager who will assist us with the plans and bid documents necessary to replace the roof on East Windsor High School and install an HVAC system at each school. Superintendent Tudrin and I have been working closely to move forward with both of those projects. Once the studies are complete, voters will be asked to vote on each project and whether to move forward. That's likely to happen in the first half of next year. We've also worked with the Board of Education to remove playground equipment at East Windsor Middle School and to do associated grading work ahead of their planned replacement of certain recess equipment at that school. The town's statutorily mandated revaluation process is underway, and we anticipate final numbers on that sometime next month. Once notified, any taxpayer who feels their assessment is inaccurate can appeal that assessment to the Board of Assessment Appeals. Keep an eye out for their timelines as the season moves along. The revaluation is based on market conditions over the last 2 years, which could lead to higher than expected valuations, so please keep the appeals process in mind. Architectural and engineering plans for the community center have been submitted to the building official and the fire marshal for their preliminary review. Planning and Zoning Commission and the Wetlands Commission will review them in the coming weeks, and of course, voters will have an opportunity to vote whether to move forward with that project on November 8th. Please remember to vote on question 2 on the ballot, which is the question on whether to move forward with the community center. I've had the good fortune to serve on the Connecticut Interlocal Risk Management Agency's Board of Directors over the last year. That's the town's insurance carrier. And they recently asked me to chair their Claims Advisory Committee. I'm honored to have the opportunity to continue to contribute to that fine organization and learn more about what it is they do. On September 22nd, I attended the North Central Connecticut Chamber of Commerce Legislative Breakfast held at their senior center. The senior center at Enfield, Candidates for all legislative offices in the towns the North Central Chamber serves were invited to attend. That's Suffield, Enfield, Somers, East Windsor, those four. On September 26th, the Board of Selectmen hosted members of the Enfield Town Council on a walking tour along the railroad tracks, which you all participated in, so I'll skip that. On the 29th, I joined Matt Hart, the Executive Director of the Capital Regional Council of Governments, for a conversation with House Majority Leader Jason Rojas about ways of strengthening regionalism in the area and empowering municipalities to address critical workforce shortages. Many municipal positions are proving more and more difficult to fill, whether that's an assessor, a builder, a building official, a planner, a social worker. All of them are having workforce shortages. So the state, we're pressing the state to encourage more and quicker training opportunities to replenish the pool of available candidates. Representative Rojas has been a great collaborator over the years, particularly along the lines of regional activities. And I look forward to continuing to work with him in the next session. That same night, Denise Menard was honored as East Windsor Rotary Club's final Citizen of the Year. Denise is an excellent choice to earn this year's recognition. She's dedicated many years of service to our community, and we thank her for that. On September 30th, I was happy to join Representative Carol Hall and business leaders from our town to welcome Soapy Noble at their grand opening. The business owner, Mike Frisbee, is a truly visionary guy who has a statewide reputation as somebody who's good to do business with. We wish him and his now multiple companies much success in our community. The town is getting ready for this year's energy season, and anyone interested can contact East Windsor Social Services to schedule an appointment. Our Community Services Department and the East Windsor Community Wellness Association is teaming up with the Five Corner Cupboard to provide Thanksgiving meals to qualifying families. The deadline for signing up for that is tomorrow, so call Community Services if there's a need. Mark your calendars for this year's Haunted Highway at East Windsor Park. That will be on the 27th from 5 to 7 p.m. And families are invited and welcome to attend this drive-through event. Every year that this, for those of you who have not gone, I think all of us have, but everybody ups their game from one year to the next. And I'm not talking about the children who are coming through, the vendors who are doing it continue to up themselves. And I think this year is going to be representative of that too. It's really fun. Staying on the Halloween theme, we're running our Scarecrow contest now. There is no set theme, so it's participants' choice. If you're interested in participating, call Park and Recreation. And finally, our small business passport program continues to run. We've got 20 participating small businesses, and the purpose is to stretch out the notion of buy local around the holiday season. Instead of being from Thanksgiving to Christmas, stretch it out from tax-free week in August through effectively Thanksgiving when you start doing that organically, the buy local thing organically. It's just a small way the town is trying to support small businesses, particularly in the restaurant and the retail space. That's all I have. And so now I'm going to scramble looking for my agenda and turn to Charlie.
It's nice that you cover so much stuff because I can skip half of mine. But
Sorry about that.
no, it's fine. On September 21st, I attended the Board of Finance meeting. Year-end financials are completed. Some 298,000 is being returned to the general fund, putting us back to our 20% cap. The tax collector is reporting 53% of taxes have been collected, and the town audit will be started on October 11th. The BOE is expecting a 220,000 return. However, they now get to keep how much? 2% of their.
That's not quite how it works. The Board of Finance has to transfer, and they can have up to 2% of their
Right.
appropriation in the reserve fund.
Yeah.
But they're at that already.
Right. So that's their return for last year. The BOE has filled all their business office positions. Unexpected and unbudgeted special ed placement for 3 special ed outplacements are expected to cost this year's school budget $350,000 that they weren't planning on. This is a prime example of how school budgets can fluctuate without enough notice to budget for the expense. Board of Education is also reporting a more normal school year, being maskless, in person, and having school conferences in person this year. So they seem to be getting back to a normal routine there. Sign language has been added as a curriculum to the world language courses. And teacher conferences will happen in person this year, October 5th through the 7th. On September 22nd, I attended the town meeting to discuss and vote on amending the ordinance establishing the East Windsor Police Commission. I was pleased to see so many people participating in our local form of government and exercising their right to speak and vote on that matter. On September 22nd, I attended the Board of Selectmen's meeting in conjunction with, I know Jason already touched on this a little bit, I'm going to elaborate on it, with the Enfield Town Council and Representative Paul to walk the Armory Rail Trail. Sarah and I and a couple others walked the Redstone Trail, which is the continuation of that trail in East Long Meadow. Though it's a short trail, it's only about 1.5 miles long. It is very well equipped. The parking is great on every single intersection where it crosses a road. They have lighted crosswalks, nice benches, trash cans all along the trail, and it's well paved. So it was good to see, what they did with that portion of the trail.
On that, does it dead end in their town center? Is that where it stops?
So it does dead end pretty much, yes, like where the 5-way intersection
Yeah.
is with the rotary.
Of course.
And there's a beautiful little train station coffee shop at the
Yeah.
end of it. And there's even a little guy who has a gas powered miniature train. And he's got like a 1/4 mile.
That's cool.
Rail line set up where you can get a ride, kids, even adults could get a ride on this little train around his little 1/4 mile track that he has set up there. So
So what do you think ours would ultimately be if this were to come to be, if we were to do it from effectively here to where it dead ends in East Long Meadow? Is that 10, 12 miles?
I don't know the mileage. When we drove back, we kind of drove along the trail as best we could to kind of get an idea as to, where it crosses streets and what it's behind and what it's near and things like that. So I don't know the mileage, but it's their line doesn't quite, it doesn't start right on the Connecticut, Massachusetts line. They're probably about 1 mile shy of reaching the Connecticut Mass line going south.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they would have to continue the trail south in order for it to meet up with us if we were to get it to go through Bravo and Enfield. So, but it was very interesting to see their end of the trail, and it was a nice walk. It goes a lot through basically like industrial type area, because you have like, the Bay Path Satellite University is right near there. The big Hasbro building is there. And it goes between all of that stuff. So, but it was a nice walk nonetheless. So we did that last
Sunday.
Sunday, yes. On September 28th, I attended the Board of Education meeting. Assistant Principal Mr. Ryan gave a presentation on how the Broadbrook Elementary School is working on improving literacy skills with students. They used a variety of programs recommended from an outside consultant. Haggerty Foundations and other programs help with pronunciation, handwriting, phonics, and language arts fundamentals. The Board of Education deals with handling 5 union contracts, all of which are currently in negotiations. So the board has been splitting themselves into different groups to help deal with those upcoming.
They have all 5 up at once.
All 5 are in negotiations currently. So they have to stretch themselves all out pretty thin, and most of them have to take 2 because there's only so many of them in order to cover them all. Wow. Yes, not fun. Dr. Tudrin discussed the purpose of how to use the 2% fund. He was seeking advice as to how the board wants to handle setting goals for the 2% fund and how it will be handled. They will ultimately be discussing this with the Board of Finance as well. And finally, in that meeting, the board voted on adopting a new policy on mandated reporting. This was reporting on child abuse, neglect, and sexual assault. This policy originated from the state mandated practices and statute, but there was a slight change in it, so they had to adopt that change as well. On October 4th, I attended a Connecticut Water Company meeting. I hadn't been to one of these in a while. I missed the last 1 or 2, I think, because of scheduling conflicts. But Connecticut Water is continuing with low-income housing, household water and wastewater assistance programs. And like Jason says, that people can contact our social services for more information on that, or people can contact Connecticut Water Direct. Let's see, skipping through that. Connecticut Water Community Giving Program, Warehouse Point Library, and East Windsor Veterans Commissions were both town recipients of sponsored funding. Connecticut Water is reporting supply chain issues when planning and completing projects. Electrical equipment and pipe have been major supply issue factors currently affecting current and future projects. The Hunt Water Treatment Facility in East Windsor is still under construction, but on track for its completion date. They're also saying East Windsor is still in a moderate drought situation, so Connecticut Water is still encouraging customers to use water wisely. And a new law that was introduced October 1st in Connecticut is stating that any commercial well testing lab company must report its findings to the local DPH and health departments. And this will also be in effect for anyone who has a property transaction, selling or buying a home. If it has a working well, it'll have to go through the same process by law now.
That's a smart idea. With all the well contaminants that are out there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be close to needles.
And lastly, Connecticut Trolley is still conducting their annual pumpkin patch and rails to the dark side events. And like Jason said, the East Windsor Passport program is still going on, but that is halfway through to the deadline now, so
Yeah. Wow.
keep going. And that's it, that's all I have.
What's the date on the pumpkin patch thing? I got a 3.5 footer.
So they do that on Saturdays and Sundays, every Saturday and Sunday, and when does Halloween fall this year?
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday, so they'll probably do it up to that weekend before Halloween, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, my little guy will very much like that.
Yeah, and they have this corn pit.
It's a corn pit.
It's like little corn kernels in this big pit, and the kids can
Oh,
jump
like a ball pit?
Oh, my dad says kids will love it. They get that thing and they don't come out for hours. But they come out with corn everywhere. Great, yes.
Selectman Baker.
Okay, so I had a diversity meeting this time around, they're working on their Witness Stones project still. They're also working on just, kind of fleshing out and getting more awareness to their Facebook presence. I think you've probably seen a little bit more effort there in this past couple of weeks. And then the third thing they're working on is another one of those workshops here at the town hall, and I don't think they have a date for the second one, and really actually it's a different topic than the first one. And there was a little bit unclear exactly what it was going to be, but more to come on that. They'll be getting that squared away. I think the date they wanted in October, they're not going to be able to do, so I think it's pushed out a couple weeks. And I don't know if they've solidified that right now, but there'll be more information to come when they get that all squared away, and of course they'll put it on Facebook. Attended the conservation meeting. They're working on the Colgate property. They're trying to get an RFP together to clear the area of the Colgate property that has been overgrown with wires and trees and the old shade tobacco kind of refuse, as well as the barn that's there on Reservoir Road. So they've been working on that for a while. They're coming up to the end on getting that together and able to release. I missed agricultural meeting because that coincided with the town meeting for the ordinance change, which I would echo Charlie's sentiment. It was great to see, I think it was 103 people, somewhere like that showed up to have an opinion. I thought that was good. And then planning and zoning had a fairly light schedule, a lot of stuff getting kind of postponed. They spent some good time talking about the new Warehouse Point regulations or edits, I guess you would say, to the regulations of our zoning laws. So this is kind of an offshoot of the Warehouse Point study and the Route 5 study and all that stuff. So it's all kind of coming together to some changes that will hopefully, spur on some interest in development, whether it be residential or commercial in the Warehouse Point area. So they're in the draft phase, and I think, well, Charlie and Sarah and Marie were all there, so they all heard it, and we all got in on the conversation. So it's getting close to the end, so definitely want to take a look at that if you want to have an opinion before they finalize it. And so that's it. That's all the meetings I had, except I just wanted to say, planning and zoning, this next meeting on the 11th is going to be, significant, I think, because everybody's going to be there for the public hearing for the Scannick Event Center. They also have a lot of other stuff on the menu, on the agenda. It's gonna be a long night and a few important things there, so you might want to check that out. I know you guys have been following, so I'll see you there. Bring a snack. That's it. That's all I got for you.
All right, Selectman Muska.
A lot of what I had was already discussed by Charlie and Jason. But on October 4th, I attended the Economic Development Commission meeting. Members expressed the need for recruiting new people to become involved to serve on their board and other boards and commissions with vacancies. If you are interested in serving, please fill out an application and submit it to the first selectman's office. After such a great turnout at the meet and greet held at Town Hall a few months ago, the commission is planning to host 2 business events at Town Hall next year. One in the spring focusing on welcoming new businesses and celebrating expanded businesses in town, and one in the fall honoring beautified businesses. More information and details will follow in the coming months. James Richards was re-elected chairman, and the commission approved their portion of the annual report. Sorry. Oh, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Domestic Violence Awareness Month, 2 causes that are very near and dear to my heart. And these are causes that affect many of our loved ones. Let's use this month to celebrate a survivor, raise awareness, or offer help to someone who may need it. There are resources available in the community and people out there who care. And everything else that I had, I don't want to repeat, it's already discussed.
I have one more thing to add. I forgot I had wetlands last night. Nothing really big going on there, except it was remarkable because there was 4 different people there looking to have an informal discussion, which a lot of people do to figure out what they can do with their property if they're not really clear. So that went on quite a long time, but I think everybody went home with good answers. But so there you go, wetlands too.
Nice. Thank you, folks. Public participation, this is public second opportunity to address members of the board. First, I'll turn to people who are here present, and then I'll ask if there's anyone online who would like to join. Please identify yourself by name and address. Yes, sir.
Wayne Sherry, 119 Depot Street. Thank you very much for helping me out with the North Central. But there's a big hole still.
Yeah.
Okay. All the information I had to pay for is not around anywhere. And they charged me for having a soil scientist. I had to have an engineered septic system. I had to have a lot of stuff. And that's all documented. And it should be here, something. I went to the records department, and all I see is my building permit. Where is it?
So I think that, well, what year was your house built?
78.
Yeah, I'll ask around. We should have that.
Yes, you should. There's nothing, 0. And I got a hand sketch, and I don't know where that other thing came from when I applied for the zoning difference, or whatever you call it, to add on to a garage I had. I don't know where that came from, but that popped up too with the stuff.
Do you know who put in the septic system originally?
Richard Pittman.
Oh, we did. All right.
He's got all the documents. I know it because what you have as a sketch and sent to me is what Dick did.
I'll have to check John to that.
But see, Dick also puts other things in, and he also has to give that to the central department. And they don't have any of it,
Yeah, they don't.
because I had a septic tank replaced. And I had to take the serial numbers off of it and everything else. And that went to North Central, plus pictures. They got nothing.
And the
Are we
property,
paying them?
we do $4.67.
That means I'm paying them.
So, did they have, I'm sorry, I have a migraine. I lost my-
They had it all, based. They had everything. They had to, otherwise I wouldn't get a permit.
And were you asking for 119?
I know, I was asking for the 4.
So
Yeah.
what were the addresses?
Excuse me?
Were they on Depot?
Yes, I gave that information to you in the email.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I can tickle them on it.
Okay.
All right, I'll look.
113, 17, 19, and 20.
Did you call him?
Hmm?
Did you call him?
And that lady who I spoke to at first, denied there was anything. And it was several times they did that. And they used the excuse that she was temporary. Not an excuse.
Yeah, so I I will follow up on that, and also, we have each municipality that's part of the North Central Health District has 2 local representatives on it. I will ping both of them and point out that the customer service was less than adequate.
See, if I sold my house, no one would know what happened. Nobody.
Right.
And I had to put a second leaching system in and everything. That cost a lot of money. And I'm very disappointed that I can't even get better. I'll kind of understand about the older houses,
That's why I was asking. You
Kind
the
of.
house is built.
but I know they get a replacement. When it's put into.
So let me do some additional due diligence
Okay.
and report back whatever I can come up with.
Done tonight.
I'm sorry?
I'll do due diligence with it all tonight. Oh, off the voucher line.
Any other public participation from members of the public? Yes, sir.
Secondly, you have a blight and property management program going on?
We have a draft ordinance that we've been working on.
Where did it come from? What do we need there?
Actually, it was one of the things that was pretty responsive in the survey that was sent out to each household in town.
Okay.
It still is a work in progress, we'll put it that way.
We had this once before, Jason, before you were still in school, right? But we had this once before, we had a committee and it was going pretty good and it just dissolved.
I didn't even know about
Now,
that.
why don't you have a committee of people in the town instead of, I think, we got what, 4 or 5 people right here that are delegating our thoughts. This gentleman over here said he knew someone that couldn't sell their house because somebody next to him had such an atrocious. I get that, I really do. But blight and property management, you shouldn't have in the same breath. They're 2 different things.
And I think definitionally is where we're having some trouble.
Okay,
Um,
I'd like to volunteer to help.
okay,
Let me know what to do. You got my email.
I do.
What's the latest on that anyway?
we sent it back to draft to incorporate some additional changes.
Can we see this? Is this available?
It's absolutely gonna be public once it's back from, I think it's with the attorney at the moment. But we can't do anything like that in private. All of that has to be considered publicly. And it has to go to a town meeting for approval.
Exactly, I know that, but you know, I just like, I would volunteer, I mentioned other people could too, because we could add to it, you know, I mean, you've got a very limited resource here, and I don't even know if these people have any kind of blight issues in their neighborhood or themselves personally, you know, a lot of people. I don't know.
Look at me.
I don't
No,
know.
I was looking at you.
I imagine I can go anywhere and find problems in people. I
Yeah,
have a house with a brick, you're gonna come and give me a warning,
that is certainly not what the
you
intent.
know what I'm saying? So you can say that, but you're sitting here today, who's gonna be sitting there in 5 years?
Excellent point.
You.
I hope to be, but you never know.
Right. I just think that this is going the wrong way, for example, you know, I don't hear much about it, and I like to be informed on something, and again, I volunteer, I'll help, do whatever, you know, I'll go around, take pictures, and talk to people, whatever you want.
So I think you've been at most of our recent meetings, and there have been some lengthy conversations about, you know, what we like about the drafts, what we don't, how we're gonna incorporate it. I mean, this has really been a sausage making process. So we're not done yet. It's not,
I know that sometimes like Windsor locks in summer doesn't have hardly anything.
Right.
And Windsor locks, they have quite a stringent setup, but you know, they also have an international airport, industrial complex to be run with all the aircraft. And this is a farm town, you know, look at the tobacco leaves and stuff you got hanging on the wall. This is a farm town. I want to keep it a farm town. I lived here my entire life so far. I don't want to move. I don't want to be dictated by a blight in, you know what I'm saying? If I get a tire sitting in my yard for 2 weeks, I don't want somebody to come tell me to get the tire out. I get enough brains to take it out myself. I don't want to live in a crappy looking thing either.
you make good points.
Case in point, that's all. Thank you. Don't ask for another person, please. I'm running out of words. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there anyone
Yes.
online who would like to address the
Yes.
members of the board? Please identify yourself by name and address.
Nicole Vasilla, 53 Prospect Hill Drive. I'm really glad that you guys were able to acknowledge October as a few different times of the month, like domestic violence. And I want to know, what is the board doing to proactively counteract domestic violence?
Well,
Oh, nothing. Okay. So nothing. So you wanted to say, hey, it's domestic violence awareness month, but we don't have any kind of plan to counteract it.
so, ma'am, the town funds a portion of the network against domestic abuse, where I have been a past board member, and I understand Sarah is, or you are what, Vic?
Not a board member, but I'm very active.
Yeah, we have funding for mental health prevention or mental health considerations within the police department, including the onboarding of the social worker that's been in place now after a delay. It's been in place now for a couple of months, I think. There are proposals that have been submitted through the community-wide survey that was done with the town that address certain mental health considerations that would be funded, could be potentially funded through our ARPA allocation. But if there are other suggestions, we're certainly welcoming of those. So let us know.
Well, okay. Well, I'm glad that you're very open to it. This is my first time really interacting with you guys about it. It's less about mental health and more about violence and how to stop that. And again, I have no ideas, but I keep hearing you guys talk about domestic violence awareness and not having any kind of solution or offering any kind of plan in place. So I just wanted to get the ball rolling on that. So perhaps next month we can have that as part of the agenda and we can interact again.
Thank you, madam. Any other public participation?
My name is Nicole, not ma'am.
Seeing none, we will have a brief executive session. It will include just the four of us, and there will be no action taken afterwards. So Peg, I'll get the recording up as quickly as I can. Otherwise, everybody have a great night. I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session at 7:53 p.m.
Move that we go into executive session at 7:53 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're in executive session. It's 8:51. It's 8:51. We're out of executive session. No further business to come before the Board of Selectmen. A motion to adjourn would be in order. Is there a motion? Baker,
Second.
Nordell, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:51 p.m. Thank you, everybody.